Hey y'all, I'm Bella, and today I'm going to be doing something a little different than what I usually do. This is sort of an introduction video to what future videos on my channel will be. I'm wanting to lean a little bit away from like the tips and tricks that I have been doing and maybe do more vlogging style. So I decided that today I would be doing the AuthorTube Newbie tag and reintroduce myself in a more concise way. So I've got my water, I got my questions, and while I'm doing this, I'm also going to be doing this Kumihimo disc that has 8 slots. It's like a Japanese braiding disc. I've seen it a couple of times on animes and eventually decided to get it, and I've been having fun with it. So I'm gonna do this while I answer the questions from Jenna Streety, who did the AuthorTube Newbie tag. She has another video, the AuthorTube Newbie 2.0, and if there are a few questions on there that are completely different than the ones that I've answered here, I will answer those as well. So question 1 is, how did you find out about AuthorTube? And when it comes to authors on YouTube, I was originally looking for tips and tricks on how to get better at the craft. And I stumbled upon Jenna. I think she might have been the first one that I came across. And I then discovered Heart Breathings, also known as Sarah Cannon. And then eventually I discovered Samantha Channel, and I'm a part of her Discord. And she also does weekly live streams, which I'll link her channel down below. That way you can check it out if you want to. But as for the vlogging style, I always knew it existed. I always knew vlogging existed, and I wanted to try something out like that. So I've been doing some research for the past couple of weeks, which is why I haven't had many videos. Question 2 is, what genres do you write in? I am a fantasy romance writer that also touches on the action and adventure side as much as I can. That's actually what my current debut novel is. It is fantasy romance. It is a romance that follows fantasy races. It also has a sense of like action in it, with like a secret hidden antagonist that gets introduced in the second half of the book. Question 3 is, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? As for writing tense, I don't really have a preference. I think it depends on the story. My current work in progress is in present tense, just because it fits the story better. The point of view is currently in first person, but once I go back for the second draft, I will be switching it to third person point of view, and I think that would fit me better as an author. I seem to be struggling with first person, and I think for some reason I'm just having trouble explaining it in a way that gives more detail to the story. I think third person will fix that issue for me. As for a category of story, I think I'm writing in adult and new adult, and my debut novel will have YA crossover with the upper age range of YA. I don't want to be a YA author. I have a trilogy, duology, something like that I want to put out that will lean more adult and I don't think will fit a YA audience. And I don't want to be forced to put that in another pen name just because the book I'm writing has YA crossover. So I think it's adult with adult and new adult, but I'm not 100% sure because this is my first book that I'm writing. Question 4 is, are you a plotter, pantser, or planter? I am an extreme plotter. Extreme. My current work in progress, it started off with a document, like a Word document, that I was just pantsing and writing and just writing the story. I tried to do an outline, however it ended up being was probably 20 to 30 pages. And then I discovered Sarah Cannon's channel and her series of videos that explain writing in the 3-act structure. And once I found those videos, I kind of stopped where I was in writing and kind of re-edited the document to fit the 3-act structure better, because it didn't really have like a solid structure to it. And that document probably was maybe 20 to 30 pages as well before I finally started writing. Question 5, are you a self-published, published, or yet to be published author? I am yet to be published. However, my goal is to self-publish. I want to have more control over my publishing, and I think being self-published will do that for me. What publishing company, literary agent, or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house and or literary agent? Again, I am going self-published, so I can't answer that question because I'm not going to be traditionally published. Question 7, what AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? I will be doing vlogging, as I said. I will probably be doing some tips and trick videos as well, depending on if I'm like comfortable with my skill level and being able to share. A lot of the videos that I did previously in regards to tips and tricks were like an accumulative knowledge that I had gotten from multiple different authors, and so I want to be able to experience stuff first and then explain it. And I'm getting really close to finishing my first draft of my work in progress, so I'll be able to do more with editing wise and explaining it properly, at least in what I'm going through. So question 8, when did you start writing? This is a little bit of a sad story. I was really isolated in 6th grade in middle school because of bullying. It was basically my entire class against me, and the best way for me to like escape that was to open my notebook, grab my pencil, and just start writing. And at the time, I was just writing like random stuff. I can't even remember what I was writing in 6th grade. I do remember my first story, but I'll explain that later on. But yeah, so I put my head down and I started writing, and I remember writing dialogue only, with as if it was like a screenplay and it was going to be made into like a TV show or an animation or cartoon of some kind. And that was actually pretty fun. I don't remember ever finishing that story. However, I do remember like what the overall idea and stuff is. Yeah, so in middle school I was really I was isolated from my entire class, and that I kind of like escaped into my notebook with my pencil, and that carried on into high school and obviously now. Question 9. What was the first story you ever wrote? So I don't remember finishing the story. I don't even think if I remember ever coming up with an ending for it. It was kind of like a mashup of 3 or 4 anime cartoons that I had seen at the time. Also like some ideas of my own twist and spin on it. I'm not going to explain a whole lot about it because I might want to do something with this later on. It combined ideas from like Inuyasha, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Vampire Knight, and the cartoon Iron Man Armored Adventures. I played around with the idea of like the orphaned MC and a love triangle that's not actually a love triangle, and like an MC who turns out to be really important and strong. It was a lot of fun. I wrote that as dialogue only, with like a little bit of explanation of what was going on. I don't even remember if I have any of it. It might be in some notebook somewhere. Yeah. So number 10, what authors have inspired you writing the most? I get a lot of inspiration from other forms of media, and mainly like TV shows, anime, cartoons. That's where I get my inspiration from. I get more technical inspiration from different authors. Again, Jenna and Sarah Cannon. Yeah, so I don't get writing inspiration from other authors. I have been trying to read more, but I really get more inspiration from authors, their social media, and the technique wise. I'll move on to question 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? I struggle with getting a process for writing. I try to write at least every Monday because that is when Samantha does her live streaming. Jenna has also been doing live streaming Mondays and Wednesdays. So I try to get as much work done as I can. The problem is I work better with a soft acoustic background music and no other noise. So I really have to write at night because I live at home with my entire family. And it really is hard to find time to write when there are so many people and when you really thrive in a little bit more quiet and silence. So I try to write at night. However, it's a little bit tricky sometimes. Depending on if my family stays up too late, I can't write at night because I just get so exhausted and tired. And I'm also not good at writing sprints. When it comes to writing in the sprints with Jenna and Sam, I more work on like summaries for what's coming next, because I work a lot better with writing for like an hour straight, because once I start, I don't want to stop. And if I stop part way, I'll forget the ideas that I had. So it's just easier for me to write consistently for like an hour, hour and a half, and then take a break. So I really spend that live stream time prepping for my writing sessions that are usually later at night. Question 12. Do you type on a computer, typewriter, or write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? And where do you write in general? As for what I use to write, I use a computer. It would be fun to get a typewriter just to have fun with it. However, everything would eventually need to be transferred to a computer. It's just easier for me to put it on the computer first. As for where I write, I will either sit in this chair or on my bed. I would like to get a desk in here at some point, a desk in my room at some point, to write at like a desk chair, but I don't really have the space for that right now. I don't know. I'm gonna try to make it work with what I have. I'm trying to make it work with what I have, but I would like to get another seating space that's a little bit more comfortable. Question 13. What are you most looking forward to now that you are a part of AuthorTube? I am really looking for the community. I don't have any writer friends in person. The community that I'm a part of for Sam's channel, it's an amazing community. I absolutely love it. But I would like to build my own community. It'd be fun to like get a group of people that start here on YouTube with me and are together. Because the community that I'm a part of, none of them really have like YouTube channels, and it would be fun to have a community of writer YouTubers that we can just do like live streams with. We can collab on stuff. It'd be a lot of fun. But I'm also looking forward to like a reader community and the fan community, because it would be really cool to get them involved in my channel and future videos and stuff. And also I want to be an author in this day and age, and in order to sell books, you kinda need a platform. So yeah, for what I'm looking forward to, it's the community mostly, and then like a little bit the platform. So those are all the questions for AuthorTube Newbie. Let me go to the Newbie tag 2.0 and see what different questions she potentially has. What's something you'll never write? I'm not good with like writing science and technology and coming up with things from scratch. I'm really much better at doing like twists on things. So I think sci-fi is not something I will ever come close to. Horror and dark fantasy is another thing that I probably won't touch on. I like more lighthearted stuff with a few dark moments, but I don't like full-on dark stories. It's one of the reasons why I haven't read Jenna Saviors series, because that is a dark fantasy series, and I work better with more lighthearted romance. So sci-fi and dark related stuff are things that I won't ever do. What is your biggest writing struggle? I would probably say quite a bit of elements in regards to the world building. I really struggle with the details of the world. Currently, I'm sort of struggling with the architecture that I'm working on for my debut novel. I was also struggling a little bit with the language, but I think I came up with something that'll work. Oh, Okay, so I do struggle with the characters. Not creating characters, but really defining them. I didn't spend time defining my characters, each individual one, before I started writing the first draft. So once I'm done with the first draft, that is something that I'm going to do. I'm going to take time, step away from the novel, study the characters that I have, and really nail down the world building details before I go back for the second draft. That way I can really get more consistency. Yeah, so I'd say characters and the details of the world building are probably my biggest struggles. Next is, what's your best writing skill? I would probably say the initial creation. Creating worlds just comes easily to me, partly because a lot of the time they are based off of something else, but I work really well with taking a basic idea and flipping it and twisting it and giving my own spin on it. So the current book that I'm working on, my work in progress, is based off the idea of how humans have, quote unquote, an angel on one shoulder and a demon on the other, guiding and tempting them through life. I did get this idea from a cartoon, but I created my own world, my own history, my own races that I'm developing and messing around with. I think the initial creation of the world, the story, and the characters flows very easily for me. It's just the details that I struggle with. Are you looking for any new channels to follow, betas, critique partners, or other types of writer buddies? I would really like to have like a social media writer group, like a group of writers who are on YouTube. I don't really do other social medias. I want to, but I really don't. I don't work well with them. And it would be fun to have like a community, as I said previously, of writers here on YouTube. I'm not looking for betas at the moment. I got a few more rounds of edits that I have to go through before I can start doing betas. Critique partners, maybe. When it comes to reading, I really love romance books, but I write in fantasy romance. So I don't know how well that will work when finding a critique partner. I want someone who writes in romance, but reads in fantasy romance. So if there is someone like that who's watching this, great. You can message me on Instagram. It's bellarve.author on my Instagram. I check it all the time. I just don't really post there. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking for in regards to like a critique partner and writer related buddies. And I think that's all the questions from here that I can answer. I got to about here when I first started doing this. I tried to record this previously and it was so long, so I decided to re-record it shorter and more concise. If there's anything that you want to know more about, any questions that you have, please let me know. I would love to do a Q&A in a bit. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something new about me. If you are an author and you happen to be watching this, I would love to hear more about you. If there are any of these questions that you want to answer, maybe in the comments let me know what you're writing, where you are in your current work in progress, what stage of the writing you're at. I hope you guys had fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.